And then if it gets more crowded, then I'll put it on speaker. Okay, this is from Laura. I wasn't able to do the retreat, which I'm so happy to have the recordings. Okay, great. Good. Good to know. Okay, well, all right, let's go to this here. And then we'll let Bonnie come in or whoever else is coming in. So the format's going to be, you want to mute yourself, Joy. So the format's going to be a little bit different today, just because of the content. So, we're just noticing at this point, excuse me just a second here. Let me, okay. Okay, everybody's muted, so I don't know what's going on here. All right, so the beginnings of these, where we're doing kind of, warming up and so on. There's just a mindfulness part of this, which is just sort of, where am I at right now? How am I doing right now? Like, what's the state of my body and mind, and what's my mood, and just coming into this practice, and not to change anything, but just to notice. Oh, okay. Well, right now I've got a little soreness here or there, a little stiffness, or my mind is, pretty calm, or it's pretty wild, or whatever it is. But just to notice, because in a way we're kind of taking a time out here from our normal routine, or from our busyness, and that involves a change of perspective a little bit. So we're sort of we're using our mindfulness to just look at, well, how am I right now? How am I doing right now? It's a profound question. How am I doing right now? And for me, for many years, that was really my doorway into practice. I'd be, really busy and doing this stuff, and then I would just stop and say, how am I doing right now? How do I feel right now? And just asking the question changed the whole landscape. Just because the one asking the question there is mindful, and up till then, maybe there wasn't much mindfulness. It was just kind of doing. So it's a good way to drop back in, just during the day, and just say, how am I doing right now? How do I feel right now? How am I doing just right now? And usually, when you ask that of yourself, you'll take an in breath. There'll be this kind of pause, this in breath, and asking the question then changes the mood. Just asking the question. So it doesn't even have to be answered. It's just that you care how your body and mind are doing right now, and that changes everything. So if you do a 4-hour retreat, a 3-hour retreat, and then you kind of lost it. You're kind of back, and you're one way is to just how am I doing? How do I feel right now? How am I doing right now? Okay, so let's bow to the directions, starting with the east. And turning to the south. And turn to the west. And then to the north. And back to the screen. Above. Extend. Below. And within. And if you like that, you can just repeat the question. How am I feeling now? Okay, let's just do a little bit of trembling mountain. And then you'll adjust this to how you're feeling. If you're feeling agitated or tight, you want to do this with some intensity. If you're feeling more tired, more relaxed, you're going to do this more slowly. We're doing these practices more or less at my speed, which is artificial for you. You want to do these movements and postures and so on. You want to do this based on how you're feeling and how it feels when you're doing the movement. How does this feel? Oh, my mind's running. Okay, well, let's do it more intently. Or, oh, I'm pretty tired. Let's just do this kind of smoothly. So just using mindfulness to check in. We're checking in with the body and the mind. And we can keep inquiring because it changes as it goes along, doesn't it? How am I feeling right now? We can shake the hands a little bit if we want to bring more intensity to it. Let go a little more. Or we can just let the hands be more still. Okay, let's just go for another minute. Okay, so now either make this more intense, as we do sometimes, or just reduce the movements little by little, whatever you feel like you need. back into standing. Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and loosen the head and neck. And the shoulders. Okay, and then I like to widen the stance as we go down because we're going to sit down as we do this. So just sort of expressing the breathing. And you can use your mind to extend the sense perception beyond the hands or beyond the body. So extending out. So this takes away from the thinking mind. Now we're extending from deep within the body and the chest out into the space around the body. The open part of this sometimes brings a smile, and then that smile affects the mood. Now, if you're a Zen practitioner, you may naturally sort of count these breaths, and that's fine too. It gives the thinking something to chew on. Count the breaths. Okay, let's just do a couple more. All right, and then down to the hips, rocking the hips. So just how do you feel right now? Just noticing, like for me, I was doing quite a bit of lifting today, and I can feel just a little stiffness, a little soreness in the lower back. So I'm just noticing that, and then that's letting go with the movements. Okay, and then circling the hips. When I first started doing Qigong back in '93, I couldn't do this at all. But I just kind of kept at it, and it didn't take too long. I was able to swivel the hips there. Okay, and then balance. So just let's just do this in your own way, and you know what the practice is. So however you want to do it. Just balancing just a little bit for a couple of minutes um, regularly is enough to maintain a good sense of balance. If we don't, as we get older, then we have a much more increased chance of falling. Okay, very good. All right, and let's go into the backwash tree in spring, and we'll segue from this into sitting. So just do this at your own pace, and when you're finished, then we'll go into sitting. And once you're sitting, just go ahead and continue your warm-ups a little bit while you're sitting. So you're loosening up, you're settling into sitting, just the way we settled into standing. And so the theme for today is filling and emptying. So whenever we have a pair of seeming opposites, then we have a yin and a yang. We have a filling and an emptying. So that's a pair. Both are real. We fill up with the in-breath, don't we? And we empty out with the out-breath. And in Taoist and Buddhist teachings, we know whenever there's a pair, uh, a pair of opposites that co-arise, meaning in order to have filling, we must have emptying. And in order to have in-breath, we must have out-breath. This is just obviously true. And it's also profound. So whenever we're focusing on a pair of opposites that co-arise, we have the opportunity to come into balance because we're aware of the in-breath. Let's take a deep in-breath. And then we're aware of the out-breath. And these are discrete things. Right? So aware of the in-breath. Just say to yourself, aware of the out-breath, or breathing in or breathing out, in, out, whatever you want, word you want to put to it. So that the whole world in that moment is just the in-breath. And then the whole world in that moment is just the out-breath. It's totally concentrated on that. So next, after becoming aware of the discrete opposites, being fully aware of the in-breath, fully aware of the out-breath, then our awareness will naturally shift to the rhythm of them. So they're discrete, but they don't arise in a vacuum. They arise in the context of the other. So we're just aware. So breathing in, breathing out, that's one breath. And now we're seeing the pair as one. So in and out, that's one breath. And there's a pause after the in and out, isn't there? There's a pause before the next pair. So looking back, there was a pause between the in and the out, wasn't there? In breath, pause, out breath, pause. And that's right, that's true. And now in breath, out breath, pause, repeat. Okay, now we're mindful of the breaths as a pair. We're also mindful of them as distinct. In-breath is distinct from out-breath. And they're bonded as a pair, so we're aware of that. Okay. You're with me so far, I think. And now, what we do when we have a pair of opposites, after balance, very important, and then after rhythm, perceiving the pair as one, now we're going to go a step back farther and take the view of breath bigger. So from the point of view of the air. Okay. Now the breath is filling the body with the in-breath. Where's it filling it from? Well, it's filling it from outside, right? So it's filling up the inside from the outside. And then it empties the inside back into the outside, right? Now, but from the point of view of the air, it doesn't care whether it's inside or outside. It's still air. So from the point of view of the air, there's this exchange of energy going on in the body, but the air, the space around the body, the air that's breathed remains the same, always present. So there's a presence in which the opposites appear. Okay? There's a bigger context. The air is the same on the outside, inside. In fact, the air inside is going to be outside in just a few seconds, and vice versa. So from the point of view of breathing itself, or air, there is movement. The movement is contained in the stillness of the presence of the air, if that makes sense. Now, in filling and emptying, in-breath and out-breath, they're just movements of air through the body. So let's contemplate this in the body. So the body has trillions of cells. Each cell was born, that is, it came into being and has a life and will die. Each and every cell. The individual cells are living and have a teeny tiny bit of consciousness. They know what they're doing. If they're white blood cells, they're fighting infection. They have jobs, and they're doing them, and they're living their lives. And they have no idea that they're part of a bigger organ. So maybe there's a cell in the heart, in the muscle that's come into being, and it's doing its job, and it's going to die eventually and get replaced. But it's not aware that it's part of this bigger thing, this heart, the heart. And the heart is not aware that it's part of this bigger thing, which is the whole body. And usually the mind is not aware that it's part of a bigger consciousness. So stepping out of these individual consciousnesses into something bigger is natural. So when we're doing a breath practice, we focus on the in-breath. Ah, in breath. We focus on the out breath. We focus on the space between the in and the out. Then we see the breaths as a pair. Now we're getting bigger. Oh, this is part of a rhythm of coming and going, filling and emptying, being born and dying. This is part of a rhythm that's going on all the time. And our breathing is connected to the breathing of trees and other animals, all other beings. There's something big going on here. We take that step back into something bigger, then we're touching more into presence, into the stillness in which all this movement arises. Okay, and let's move it out even farther. So the earth is breathing. One of the ways the earth breathes is that beings are born onto it, into it. Babies are born, animal babies, plants, new life. The earth breathes in, new life comes into being all over the earth. Earth breathes out, the life goes back into the consciousness from where it came. So this boundlessness, which is Qi, which is consciousness, takes form with the in-breath, takes form on the earth. The earth is form. Takes form on the earth, the form of you, me, animals, trees. These are all forms. Takes form, and eventually the form dissolves back into the Qi. Now, the Qi, just like the air, doesn't care. It doesn't care if it's in a form or if it's boundless. It's just present. And this presence, this is the Tao. So as soon as we sit and practice a breath meditation, we can become aware of these different levels of awareness that are brought about and contained in this simple act of breathing. So let's start again. So we're gonna focus on filling and emptying, coming and going. So we focus first on in-breath. Ah, get that. And then focus on out-breath. Okay. And we really want to be familiar with these. How does the in-breath feel? How does the out-breath feel? What is the in-breath? What is the out-breath? How does it feel in the body? Really getting to know these seeming opposites in the body. And once we're thoroughly familiar, we'll naturally move into the pair of breaths. This is a pair. As a Zen saying, every breath is a life. In breath is birth, out breath is death. And then if we want, we can move our attention out. In Qigong, it's around the body. We're no longer focused just on the lungs, the heart, just within the chest. Now our awareness is expanded bigger. And the air around the body is the same as the air in the body. This exchange is going on. But now we can rest in the awareness of the coming and going, filling and emptying. There's a stillness that's all around the movement. The stillness can take the form of the in-breath, the out-breath. It can take the form of a human or a plant or an animal. It can take any form because it's boundless, it's formless. And then the out-breath will dissolve into boundlessness before the next in-breath. So this not only applies to the body and to the breath, it applies also to the mind. So the mind is formless and boundless. Some form will arise in the mind, a thought or something like that. It will form, perhaps it will change, and then it will dissolve. And we can watch the mind just as we watch the body, feel it. We can watch the mind, feel the mind. And when a thought appears, it's just a form that coalesces out of the boundlessness and then dissolves back into it. So we can rest in the awareness of the coming and going of the breath, the coming and going of mental forms, and rest in that boundless state that's big and diffuse and contains everything. And as you become comfortable resting in the boundless state, it will become very obvious when a form appears. So right now, for me, outside, a form appeared, and it was the sound of a car going by. When a form appears, the entire world appears. There's a car, there's someone driving it, people made the car, where did the car come from? The entire world appears with the form. And then when it dissolves, the entire world dissolves into formlessness. If a thought appears, all forms appear. And when the thought dissolves, all forms dissolve. This is the nature of coming and going, filling and emptying. This is the nature of reality on this planet. Forms arise moment to moment, and forms dissolve moment to moment. And all of this is going on in this very moment, everywhere in the world, all at once. But it's way, way, way too much for us to take in. So we have this brain and this small mind that filters, so we only are subjected to a teeny, teeny little stream of this. And the last thing about this is if we're attached to the in-breath, or attached to the out-breath, or if we're attached to the rhythm of in and out, we can't move into the boundless state. And when we breathe out our last breath, when we die, all there is the boundless state. There is no coming and going. So we can become familiar with that just by sitting and breathing and moving through the stages of awareness of breath. And the awareness of the boundlessness of coming and going arises most readily after the out-breath is over. So at the end of the out-breath, just expand your awareness beyond the body. Feel the space around the body. Just expand in all directions and rest there. And then the next in-breath will come. And when the in-breath comes, we see it, we feel it from the inside and the outside. Okay, if you've gotten a little stiff, take care of your body. And now let's apply the sense of filling and emptying. Let's go ahead and stand again. So let's just go into flying crane. So this is filling and emptying. And then boundlessness. Filling, very beautiful. Filling is very beautiful. And then emptying, out breath. So the crane is flying. It's powered by the wings and the breath. But it can only fly because it's in the sky. Filling, emptying, up, down, awareness of the sky. Aware of the space around the body, front, back, sides. The body's just doing this unfolding and folding in space, in the air. Okay, let's reduce the movements. So many of the Qigong movements are filling and emptying. If we do this one, do the 7 gates. Some are more obvious than others, but it's a filling and emptying. And whenever there's a filling and emptying, it's happening in awareness. So, this one, so expanding, compressing. Any direction. So the Qi doesn't care. It's moving through the body, it's moving through the mind, it's moving through space, the world. It's just always present. No matter how it changes, it's always present. Okay, let's reduce the movements. With the out breath, move the attention out around the body. Just take a couple more breaths. Okay, very good. All right, let's go ahead and do our closing. We'll clap once. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much for your practice, for showing up. And if you'd like to slip away, please do so. And if you'd like to stay, I'll be here. Okay. So it's really just an embodiment of the teaching of the Tai Chi symbol. I don't have one to show you. Well, I do, but it's pretty small. Anyway, so we have the yin and the yang. Everybody knows this. And it's so we have the in-breath and the out-breath. It's a beautiful example of the yin and yang. And that's contained in a circle, okay? And it's moving, it's dynamic. And that's why that's the symbol of Taoism, because when we are in the presence of opposites, and I'm talking about in life, you know, people are arguing, you know, there's seems like there's a rock at a hard place. I mean, we're in the presence of opposites. There is a bigger context for it. Okay. So if we have black and we have white, it doesn't mean that the answer is gray. It doesn't mean that. It means that they're arising within a bigger context. And if we can step back a minute, then we can free ourselves from the clashing of opposites and be able to be with both. Okay, it doesn't mean that we can't take a position. We'll definitely take a position, and we'll be able to take that position from a place of awareness rather than a place of clashing. So if that makes sense. You know, so some people think, say in Buddhism, they think of the middle way. They think, well, there's people on the right, you know, right white supremacists, or there's people on the left. So Buddhists should just be in the middle. That's a complete misunderstanding of the teaching. The teaching is to be aware of the extremes and the context in which they arise, and then to mindfully take your position, do your action, whatever that is, you know. And so what you lose there, I think, is hatred. You know, and it's just like, well, how can we move forward here? You know, so yeah, I want to be clear about that, because just personally, I got thrown out of college for protesting the Vietnam War and spent years fighting that war, and it wasn't. It was very important to me, and morally, and I don't regret it one bit. You know, taking that stand, and I have stands, but I can recognize that the world is way bigger than my opinion of it, and that other people have their own views and their own truth, and they may be dead wrong, but but nevertheless, there they are, you know. So I want to deal with reality. You know, I don't want to deal with my ideas about things. I want to deal with what's real, and that's what Buddhism is about. It's about seeing reality and dealing with it. You know, not being lost in views of it. So that's my 2 bits on that, for what it's worth. But that's really rooted in Taoism. It's really, really ancient. You know, and I think that's true.
This is a little separate topic. When we were opening the chest, I did something different. I just focused on the sensation in my shoulders and my arms, sort of a corollary to how am I doing. That was pretty. It was a good practice.
It was what?
It was a good practice rather than you know, trying to expand the consciousness as I opened the arms or whatever. I just tried to feel the muscles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
A little change.
Yeah.
I have a question about the yin and the yang. Um, I noticed that when I look at that symbol, that it's curved,
Mm-hmm.
right? circle.
Yeah.
And in the white, there is a black spot. And in the black, there's a white spot.
Yeah.
Am
What do
I
you think of
saying that right?
that? Yeah. What do you think
What's
of
that?
that? Yeah.
What's that about? That
uh,
the white has a little bit of black in it?
yeah. You know, that symbol, somehow it became black and white. Uh, I'm not sure when or how or traditionally it was red and white.
Did it
So
have the same dots?
yeah, instead of black and white, it was red and white. And
Yes, but
it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think, you know, white really isn't a color, but red is. So it's really the
right,
opposite of it,
right,
you know.
right.
So I don't know, but that's traditionally that's how it was. Yeah, they have that little dot that each contains its opposite. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. I mean, I'm out on this beautiful fall day and I can feel that little hint of winter. Can't you feel this? The little bit of cold wind comes up.
Yeah.
That's that little dot, you know. It's in there, you know, and you're out there on a freezing cold winter day and but it's sunny and you feel this, oh, that's that little dot. There's summer is in there, you know. There is. It's a little bit of that. Yeah. It's a really useful teaching for you know what a lot of young people are into now, which is gender fluidity. And the Taoists were all over gender fluidity, you know, thousands of years ago. That you know there is no male and there is no female. I mean, there's an in breath and an out breath. They exist, but they exist in pairs, and then each one contains elements of the other. They were way ahead with that. So that's useful to me too, you know, to try when I'm trying to, you know, because I'm old. I mean, you know, people, younger people in their 20s or teens, and they're coming up with all this. You know, I'm trying to get it, you know, and uh, the Taoist teachings really are very helpful for that. You know, just when you think you know who you are, you're in trouble, right? Yeah. Okay. Um, well, I hope that was useful because so many meditations are based on the breath. And it's breath meditation is wonderful. Um, it's also useful to have a context for understanding it, I think. Well, you know, what am I focusing? What, you know, what is this? What's going on? So I was just giving you sort of that's the Taoist breath meditation. That's the view of that. So,
I hope you're recording this one because I'm gonna go back and listen to the.
you know, not only am I recording it, I forgot to stop recording it. Okay. All right.
I found it very, very beneficial this evening, and I will definitely be referencing back to that
Yeah.
piece. That's
Good. Good.
it's really good.
And how am I feeling right now? I mean, that's just the whole world changes, you know. How am I feeling right now? And you don't even have to answer. Just, oh, how am I feeling right now? That was really key for me for a long time. Still is, I guess. Okay, well, thanks for your practice. Thanks for your presence. And as usual, I'll be back. Have a good night.